Welcome back to the Thrive Over 45 podcast with me, your host, nutritionist Stacey Nicole Smith. And this is the space where we talk all things weight loss and wellness for the woman in peri and menopause. Now, before we get started, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe the show to be notified when future episodes are released. Today, we are talking about something you have probably encountered. We are talking about how dairy affects weight loss in perimenopause and menopause. And the reason I think it's important to talk about this is because every time I look on social media, what do I see? I see all these recipes and they look so great. And then I go to look at the ingredient list and it's either made of cottage cheese or Greek yogurt. And they choose these saying, oh, these are high protein options. You can make them this way, make them that way. Before we get into this, I want to share with you a little story to give you some context. Now, you may or may not know that for 10 years in Toronto, I owned a wellness clinic from 2009 to 2019. At this clinic, we offered a lot of different services. So nutritional services, digestive, a lot of different stuff. Now, I say this because over the course of 10 years, we had a very high volume of clients. And these are clients with different needs. Some had digestive issues. Some obviously had weight loss concerns. But I also had a lot of clients with different things like Lyme disease, cancer, autoimmune conditions, things they didn't know and couldn't get a proper diagnosis for. And because of this, I was able to enrich my own knowledge and experience because a lot of these clients were not able to get the help that they required in Canada. And so many of them would go to top clinics in different countries, Germany, Switzerland, and the US, and they would see top doctors, top specialists, top testing, all that kind of stuff. And then they would come back and I would help them with the nutrition aspect. So just to say, I am not a doctor, I am a nutritionist, but I would work with them on that piece, but they would come back with all of the information that they gathered from these different specialists around the world. So I was very fortunate from a learning perspective to be privy to this. Now, whether these were men or women, whatever condition they were dealing with, we are all individuals. And obviously they all got different advice from their respective doctors. But one thing I noticed that was consistent across the board, 100% of these instances, was every doctor that they visited, with every client that I spoke with, every one of these doctors across the board advised for their patient, my client, to avoid dairy 100%. So I just wanted to provide some context for you there. What must it be doing within our bodies for all of these specialists around the world to be highly recommending to avoid it 100%? That's not what we're talking about today. Here we're talking about dairy with regards to weight loss and peri and menopause. But I did want to provide you that little bit of context before we started. And again, I was fortunate to have experience in learning of all these different stories of all these different clients, and I wanted to share that with you here as well. Now, the issue I have with dairy in this day and age is that all of these recipes are having people make dairy their main course, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And all they're looking at is the protein count and a calorie count. And it's much more than that. And especially as we get into the hormonal shifts of peri and menopause, our bodies can have more inflammation. We're more prone to inflammation at this age. Dairy is an inflammatory food. So it's like we're stoking the fire. If we're already prone to more inflammation, why are we eating a food that is pro-inflammatory, like day after day, meal after meal? That's not ideal. And with this increased inflammation, of course, we are having an increase in cortisol, which is the stress hormone, and it's famously known for putting fat right on the belly, that menopause belly. Additionally, with more inflammation, we are more prone to insulin resistance. And I speak to a lot of women that say to me, well, I haven't changed anything. Nothing's changed, but I'm just gaining weight. I don't understand it. And it doesn't mean you're broken. I know that's what you're thinking. And you go on these strict calorie restricted diets and keto and you eliminate carbs and nothing seems to be working. So you think nothing's going to work. And that's just not the case. We just have to work a little bit differently to work with our changing bodies. That's all. It's just a different strategy. And one of those that I recommend is eliminating or highly reducing dairy, because it is creating and contributing to inflammation in the body, which, as I just discussed, increases cortisol and, of course, insulin resistance, which simply means our body is less likely to uptake our food into the cells to be used as energy and burned off, and is more likely to be stored as fat. So we just want to do things to make our body more sensitive to that insulin, so that our food is more likely to be used as fuel and burned off instead of stored on the body, which is what a lot of women are experiencing at this age. So one of the ways to do this, of course, is to reduce inflammation. One of the ways to do this, of course, is to eliminate or greatly reduce dairy. Now, you may be saying, but I don't have a problem with dairy. I'm not lactose intolerant. Because a lot of people link not having an issue with dairy to not eating it or drinking it and not running to the bathroom afterwards. So you think, I'm fine. But we don't see what's going on inside the body. What is happening under the hood? Like, we don't know. Just because you're not running to the washroom because you didn't have a quick side effect to the dairy doesn't mean there's not necessarily an issue going on. Now, the other thing I would like to mention is, first, I would challenge you to, if nothing else, for your own personal challenge, to eliminate 100% dairy from your life for a minimum of 2 weeks. And you may be thinking, well, Stacey, I don't really have a lot of dairy. I don't drink milk and I don't eat ice cream, but sometimes I have some cheese. I would challenge you to take a look and really be mindful, because most people are intaking dairy a lot more than they realize they are. It's in everything. So if you're having a whey protein, that's dairy, switch it to plant protein, and do that for 2 weeks. And I think the other thing is, you may be thinking, well, I don't really feel that bad, but a lot of people have gotten used to feeling medium. And that's become your new normal. And sometimes we don't realize how great we actually can feel, because that's become our new normal, because we felt that way for so long. So I would challenge you to do that. It can help, obviously, with digestion. It can help with inflammation, water retention, energy levels, and, of course, fat loss. Now, the other thing I would like you to consider is the huge marketing machine that is the dairy industry. And it may or may not surprise you to know that when they started cranking out the marketing for dairy, especially in the 80s and 90s, it wasn't because of our health. It wasn't because they care about our health. You know why it was? There was an oversupply and they didn't know what to do with it. So they cranked up that marketing machine, knowing full well that it wasn't the health food that they claimed that it was. Now, when you eliminate dairy, if you choose to accept this challenge for yourself, here's the thing too. Unless you have a serious problem with it, recognize, and I recognize, that we do live in the real world. And unless you are running to the bathroom or have an allergy or you are lactose intolerant, then you should avoid it 100%. But if you don't have a serious allergy or you're not lactose intolerant, once you clear it out of your system for a while, you don't have to go crazy. I think sometimes we can create more problems when we're so stressed out about, I can't have this, I can't have this, I can't have that. That stress can create more issues than the food itself. So once you kind of get to your goal, once you're feeling amazing, continue to eat 80% in line with your goals, but then allow that 20% for some wiggle room. Like, as an example, I will never have dairy in my house. I just don't. But if I'm at a restaurant and I'm with friends, and we're sharing food and some of that food has a little bit of cheese on it, I'm not going to be a crazy person and say I can't eat anything on this table. Like, I'll have a little bit of it. It's fine. As long as you're doing what's right for your body and that's in line with your goals 80% of the time, you can kind of leave that little wiggle room. But again, a lot of it comes down to we're just confused on why nothing seems to be working. And maybe this is for you, maybe it's not. But I would also then suggest, once you cut it out and you feel kind of better, here's the way I see dairy. Use it and view it more like a condiment than a main course. And then you shouldn't have as many issues with it. Eat mostly anti-inflammatory foods, eat in line with your goals, and have it as the occasional condiment. But don't be having cottage cheese pancakes for breakfast, Greek yogurt, whatever for lunch, and eating some keto thinking it's healthy and it's just all grated cheddar cheese for dinner. This is not a health supportive way to eat or to live. And even though my focus is weight loss, it is also on a health supported weight loss. So we want to be taking care of our health at the same time. Health is the true wealth. Without it, nothing else matters. So it is not just about aesthetics, it's about health too. Now, I hope that helps you. And I'm curious to know, let me know, are you eating cottage cheese and Greek yogurt 3 times a day with all these fancy recipes? Did you know this about dairy? Are you going to accept the challenge to yourself to give up dairy completely for 2 weeks? And take note, because I am pretty sure you may be eating it more than you even realize. Anyway, thank you for listening. I hope you found this helpful. And of course, don't forget to follow the show, like, and subscribe to be notified when I release next episodes. Bye.